Okay, have you ever looked around and just wondered, why are some people with degrees from top universities, struggling to get by, while others, who maybe didn't even finish school, are just thriving, building wealth, living with total freedom? It's a really big question, right? Well, today we're going to dig into a framework that gives a pretty powerful answer. Let's get right into it. So just look at these two paths. On one hand, you've got Joey. He did everything he was supposed to do. Straight A's, great university, and he ends up with a decent job, sure, but he's also drowning in debt and stress. And then, on the other hand, there's Kai, a school dropout who's pulling in nearly 3 times what Joey makes, and he's totally debt-free. So what is going on here? What's the real difference? Well, the key difference is that Kai started thinking like what this framework calls a digital architect. And look, this isn't about throwing education out the window, not at all. It's about shifting your focus. It's about paying attention to where the world is actually headed, not where it's been, and then building something valuable online to meet that future. That's the big idea we're going to unpack today. So, how do you even start down this path? Well, the framework says step one is all about looking inward. It kicks off with a massive mindset shift. You have to stop trying to fix everything you're bad at, and instead, just go all in on what you're naturally effortlessly good at. Now, I know this probably feels wrong. It goes against literally everything we were taught in school, right? The whole system is basically designed to find your weak spots. Maybe it was math for you, maybe public speaking, and just hammer away at them. But a digital architect completely flips that script. They focus on turning their strengths into superpowers. And if you want to see the effect that traditional system has on us, just look at this. It's kind of shocking. A study found that when we're 5 years old, 98% of us, almost all of us, test at a genius level for divergent thinking. That's our ability to come up with creative, original ideas. But by the time we're adults, that number nosedives to just 2%. Crazy, right? So here's the really important part to remember. It's not that you aren't talented. You absolutely are. It's just that the system might have, well, trained that natural genius right out of you. So the first real step to becoming a digital architect is just remembering what you were already good at. So how do you actually rediscover that talent? Well, according to this framework, most of us fall into one of these 4 main categories. So ask yourself, are you an organizer, someone who just loves to create systems and bring structure to chaos? Or are you an analyst who's amazing at spotting patterns that nobody else sees? Maybe you're a communicator, you can explain anything and get people on your side. Or are you a creative, the person who connects dots in totally new ways? Figuring out which one is your home base, that's your starting line. All right, so once you've kind of figured out your core talent, the next move is to find the right vehicle to actually make money from it. And that brings us to section 2, picking a high-value service that businesses are more than happy to pay really good money for. You know, the quickest way to that $10,000 a month mark online is to offer a service, but not just any service. It has to follow 3 golden rules, and they all come down to business value. Does your service make a business more money? Does it save them a ton of time? Or does it cut their costs? If you can confidently say yes to at least one of those, you're on to something good. And this chart here makes it super easy to connect the dots. It links those talent types we talked about to 5 really high-value services that are in demand right now. So, for instance, if you're a creative, you might be a natural at brand identity or video editing. If you're more of an analyst, something like AI automation could be a perfect fit. Just think of these services as the car, and your talent is the engine. Okay, so you've found your talent. You've picked a service to offer. But now comes the big question, right? How do you get good enough to actually charge people money for it? This is where we get to the third and honestly, one of the most powerful parts of this whole framework, the learn and earn loop. This right here is another one of those huge mindset shifts. The old idea that you have to spend years and years learning in a classroom before you're allowed to make money is just holding so many people back. The absolute fastest way to get good at something is to learn and earn at the exact same time. And you do this with a 5-step process called the skill maxing loop. First, you define the simplest, most basic version of your service. Then, and this is the scary but crucial part, you actually go out and sell it way before you feel ready. That forces you to deliver under real-world pressure, and that's where the real learning happens. After that, you just fix what broke, systemize your process so you're reliable, and then you do it all over again. And the magic of this loop is that it's a cycle. You don't just do it once and you're done. No. Each time you go around, your skills get a little sharper, your sales pitch gets a little better, and your service becomes more and more valuable. This is basically the engine that's going to drive you towards that $10,000 a month goal. Now, hitting that first big income goal, that's an amazing achievement. But if you want to scale beyond that, you need a whole new level of thinking. This last section is all about how you position your value. It's how you go from just being a service provider to becoming a true digital architect. This leads to a really critical point that a lot of people miss. You don't get paid based on how good you are. You get paid based on how well you position the value that you provide. See the difference? It's not just about the thing you do. It's about the result you create for your client. This comparison just makes it so incredibly clear. A freelancer sells a task. They say, I build landing pages. That's a commodity. Anyone can do that. But a digital architect sells an outcome. They say, I turn your existing website traffic into paying customers. That's a direct investment in the business's growth. It's the same skill, maybe even the same amount of work, but there's a world of difference in how much you can charge. And the final level, the real end game, is something called brand maxing. This is all about building a personal brand and reputation that's so strong that you become the obvious choice. When your brand is on point, high-value clients and amazing opportunities start coming to you instead of you constantly having to chase them down. So look, if there's just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this fundamental shift in perspective. The entire digital architect framework really boils down to this one question. It's not about your skills or your to-do list. It's all about the result, the transformation that you deliver for someone else. And that right there, that's the real secret.